Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Talking Comics. Today we've got some very special guests. We are joined by the brothers of Two Brothers Comics, and we're going to dive into a couple of different topics today. But if you're not familiar with them, they are some YouTubers that have really caught my attention lately. They put out a lot of great content, and I've got to say, Nick has by far the best looking background of any comic book YouTuber I've seen. So I'm probably going to talk about that because, he's the envy of my setup. But with that, it's going to be a pretty short show tonight. We're going to try and keep it around an hour. A couple of topics we're looking at. We're going to dive into the CBS versus CGC situation. They've been pumping out some great videos on that lately. And then I also want to look at the new Promise Pedigree collection that has been rolled out slowly by CGC over the last couple of days and weeks, and just show off some of those amazing books that are going to be part of this collection. I'm sadly not going to be able to buy any of them because I don't really want a second mortgage. So hang out for that. You're going to see some unbelievable books when we hit some of the highlights, and we'll get right into it. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and bring on our guests. Here we are. We've got Nick and Dustin with Two Brothers Comics. Welcome, guys. Glad to have you here on the stream. How's it going for you?
Oh, is he frozen? Ha, it's not me this time. It's going good, man. It's going good. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having us. Thanks for the kind words. Don't be envious of this, man. Don't be envious of this. I'll tell you a quick secret. I've turned my garage into a YouTube studio.
Oh, so very nice.
You go 6 inches that way, and we have a water heater. You go 6 inches that way, it's a door. So it's don't be envious of it.
That's cool. I'm set up in my basement, so it kind of looks rather domestic in here. So I don't have a lot of comic book swag. I do have my Ninja Turtles arcade game over my shoulder, but my comic room is actually the excavated garage below my garage. So if you know anything about internet signal, like Wi-Fi and stuff like that, it's not happening in a concrete box. So we live stream from out here, but that's where I actually film. So. Dustin, looks like we got you back. The internet gods decided to frown upon you briefly. Do you guys want to kind of just start off and tell the viewers a little bit about yourself if they're not familiar with you or your channel?
Yeah, so and it looks like he's frozen again. I'm sure
he's very serious if he's not frozen.
And we were fine before this, right? Everything was going
everything
smoothly.
Was great.
It just happens. I mean, but it is what it is. That's what we deal with, right?
Yep.
But so anyways, I'm Nick. That's Dustin. That's Dustin. We are legitimately two brothers. Everybody always tends to ask that question of us. Are you guys actually two brothers? And we are, in fact, two brothers. We got into comic book collecting kind of together. It's something we started as adults, and it's kind of what's kept our relationship close, I guess you would say, with me moving up to Huntsville, about 4 or 5 years ago, and us originally being from Atlanta. So we kind of started this YouTube channel as a way for us to spend the time together, stay close, keep that relationship, and kind of bring our joy to the hobby and try to bring some entertainment with it. So a little bit about us.
Nice. So how long had you all collected prior to starting the channel? I mean, was it something you'd done since you were kids and it just kind of made you...
No, so we didn't touch our first comic book until adults, right? So Dustin will tell you, he does a better job of telling the story. Dustin's the storyteller out of the two of us for sure. We each have our different assets we bring to it, and Dustin's storytelling ability is much better than my own. But I actually I'm a nerd, right? So I wanted to really learn where the MCU got the source material from. Okay. And I say nerd in the sense of that way, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Like where does it come from? What are the influences? So I started picking up the comic books, and the first set of comic books I ever picked up were actually the Infinity Gauntlet run. So I bought 1 through 6. I bugged all the comic shops around me. Hey, does anybody have these? And nobody ever had them. And Josh Olive had in Haven Comics here messaged me back after a few months. He said, "Hey, I just got to set in if you're interested still."
Nice.
And that was the first set of comic books I ever bought.
Okay.
And I dove in head deep. I decorated my office full of comic books, and Dustin would come up and visit. And Dustin, again, when he comes back on, but you'll see he has the tattoos and the angry face, and he definitely, he rides motorcycles and stuff like that, right? So he is not the person you would see collecting comic books, but he would come over to the house and he'd kind of poke fun at me a little bit, and I don't care. It was like, I'm collecting comic books. But he is a massive fan of Power Rangers, like you wouldn't believe.
Oh yeah.
And so I took him up to see Josh at Haven Comics, and anybody that meets our local comic shop owner, Josh, you can't resist the guy in terms of just how friendly and stuff he is. But anyways, so he got Dustin to buy a local comic shop day Power Rangers mystery box. From several years ago. And that was kind of what kicked it off for the both of us. And literally from that point, we haven't stopped. Dustin jumped in head first, much harder than I ever have. But that's kind of how we got our start. Just me wanting to get into the source material, and then Power Rangers for Dustin.
Nice.
So, Bueller, you know who the attractive one is.
Oh man, it's real up in here. We got Comics with Bueller up in the chat.
Travis knows what's up.
He is, despite how well or how strong a relationship you guys have, he's not quite sure which one is which. So we're still hoping to get Dustin back. He's dropped out, and I think he's the joy of live entertainment here. We'll see if and when we can get him back. So I feel your pain. I'm not much of a storyteller myself. I have a bad habit of just rambling and going down the wrong rabbit holes. So no worry there. I'm not going to judge you.
I'll keep talking the whole time about that. So I have to kind of pick my details and go quick.
There you go.
And does a great job with it.
Very cool. So what can we find on your channel? What kind of content do you guys focus on specifically? Because when I go and I pull up your channel, I see just
everything,
tons and tons of content, and I'm like, wow, it's you guys are just pumping it out left and right.
So we get a video just Bueller, but anyways, so we do a little bit of everything. We put a video out Monday through Friday, just about every day, and then we do a live show Saturday nights, the Comic Book Babylon, and that goes on for literally sometimes 3-4 hours. It's a babble on, as you saw last night.
Yeah, it was a healthy length last night. I know.
So and we have an actual comic book pro that's a part of it, Justin Birch. He letters for a ton of major comics that some he can't talk about yet because they haven't been announced. But anyway, so it's an awesome time Saturday nights. But on our channel, to be honest with you, you'll find we do a top picks video every Monday. And that's not about spec or anything like that. It's just 5 books we think are legitimately some of the best reads coming out that week, and then some honorable mentions. And then throughout the week, we do a little bit of everything, right? So we do some entertainment, what we like to call entertainment type style videos, where we'll do little skits or little short films. I did one about buying a comic book rail and having complete remorse. We've done some called The Haggler, where Dustin and my local comic shop owner, Josh, have haggled. It was cut and filmed like it was this little skit, but it was a real deal haggle video over $5 over Ghost Rider #1. It was a torn up, beat up book, but we've done stuff like that. And then we've done a skit about the FOMO guy, and Dustin will show up wearing he has this wig and these glasses, and we've done some stuff like that. But then we also do a lot of discussion type videos, right? Because I'm all about creating a conversation and trying to create some thought out there in the community about things, right? Because some people have, like I'm sure yourself, have collected comic books for as long as they probably can remember, right?
It's been a day or two.
And then so for me, we come in and we've been doing it for several years now, but it's we I see brand new people's mindsets, and I see people who have been in the hobby forever, they have a different mindset, and I want to create some conversation around that and some help.
You're not burnt out and jaded yet.
You know what I mean? And, but let's talk about some of these issues or some of these concerns, or the biggest one here recently, CBCS versus CGC, and we've really been talking about that. And we try to do it from a perspective of we're not right? We're not the know-it-all. We don't have every answer to every question. We just this is our opinion. That's what we think, and here's why. And we're willing to change that opinion, and we've done that several times. But that's what you'll find on the channel. We do an unboxing and hauls and stuff like that. We do some reviews, but we're still trying to figure out the best way of doing our own style comic book reviews, right? Because you have people who do it very well, but we don't want to mimic that same style. And we're playing around with some different things, but we're just not found what we want to do to make it our own, if that makes sense.
Definitely. And that's one of the things that I deal with too. I don't try to do it better than anybody else because, like you said, there's so many content creators out there that already do a great job, and we've got more and more coming in every day. It's just I try and do it different. I try and and find my way, and I'm fairly new at this YouTube thing too, so it's all just trying to figure out who we are and what we want to do. It looks like Dustin may have
he just texted me.
So. Is he back? We've got a fresh location here.
What happened, man?
Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on.
Welcome to the stream.
Jacked up for pretty much the whole day. So,
do you have AT&T?
No,
Okay,
I've got Comcast. So,
I know I've done some live streaming with Journo, with Chris, and he has AT&T, and he always throws them under the bus for his internet issues. So I just want to make sure it wasn't some sort of conspiracy against the community here. So we just kind of wrapped up. Dustin, Nick was talking a little bit about what you can find on the channel. Just without having any idea what he said, do you have anything you want to add to that?
I told him about your wig, and basically if you show up to our channel, they're going to see you dressed in a wig and some goofy glasses. And like Empire Comics says, probably going to see some twerking.
I was listening, so I could hear.
Okay.
No twerking, just twerking. We only twerk on the channel.
Oh, that's great. Okay, well, I'm going to dive into the chat, see who we've got hanging out with us right quick. Scrolling back a little bit, we got Madman Paul up in here. Got Raymond D. Jr. Nice to see you guys. Tom. He wants to know if you compete or if you collect competitively or in tandem. That's a great question.
My comic book collection is perfect.
Dustin's it needs no assistance.
Dustin's is phenomenal though. No, I'm joking because we always goof around. Our saying is collect your way, and that dates back to what I was talking about a second ago. Just how we were treated kind of was by some people when we came into the hobby. And like I said, Dustin loves Power Rangers, and I will talk crap about Power Rangers all day long, but I do it in the perspective of he's my brother. I'm not really, and you saw last night, like
all the Dragon Balls,
So, but we were treated in a way where people would literally tell us that Power Rangers or stuff like this was 90s garbage, and why are you even considering buying it? So that's where Collect Your Way came from, and that goes back to this do we collect in tandem or competitively? Not really. He has a completely different interest than I do. The way we collect is different.
And where you're in two different locations, that's definitely a major issue.
Now, I would say Dustin, like if we were to get competitive about this, our wives would divorce us. 100%. And I say that because we were far too competitive growing up, right, Dustin?
Yeah.
And if we really wanted to get serious about being competitive, we would probably end up getting divorced and go bankrupt because one of us would have to live. One of us would have to lose, and that means one of us is going to be spending a ton of money.
Right.
So, and I've got a pretty good head start, so I could take it easy for a minute. Yeah. But it wouldn't be long.
From a monetary standpoint, Dustin's got me all day long. He's got some big books that he's picked up this year, some big investment books. And to be honest with you, I'm like 6 months ago, I swapped the way I was collecting comic books and went almost, instead of trying to buy these back issues that are just outrageous price, just started buying these hardcovers and reading collected editions and stuff. So
very nice. Cool.
Long-winded answer, I guess.
Hey, we'll take it. I think we're a little ahead of ourselves in the rundown, but that was definitely a topic we wanted to touch.
Yeah.
Tim Fromelt. Sorry if I slaughter your name. Just a heads up, I do good to read my own name most of the time. So apologies in advance to anybody whose name I slaughter. He's wanting to know about the Promise Pedigree. I know we're going to talk about that here in a bit, but the short version early in the show is yes, there are a lot more of these books to come. So I'm anxiously awaiting that. Also, in the chat, we've got Empire Comics. So saying what up to Justin in here. He was also talking about twerking. I'm not going to bring that on screen. So,
do you want me to explain where that came from?
It's like if there's a story, I'm down for it.
It is. So I had a CGC and a CBCS comic book in one of my videos recently.
Yeah.
And I was twerking it just literally. And it sounded like I was saying twerking. And so he's been giving me a hard time about it ever since. So in all the comments, he's quit twerking your comic books or quit it's all in good fun. But that's
and those old CBS cases, man, you give them a little bit of a ride because
the new CGC cases crack like that.
How new? Have you
brand new?
Have you dealt with one with the rattle when you shake it, where your inner well slide?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, I know
I got a video of me doing. Yeah. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll get okay. We're passionate about it. It's been a conversation I've been pretty fired up about for a while. So, what do you guys collect now? I know you said Dustin that you've been buying some big stuff. Nick, you've been buying the trades. You said so. Dustin, what are you chasing right now? What are you going after this year?
I am done chasing anything of any value for quite some time. It has just gotten so far beyond crazy that I can't see paying these prices on stuff now when I know what I passed it up on, a year ago, 2 years ago. So I've bought some big hitters this year and last year. I'm probably just
sold some big ones too.
Yeah, I saw some nice stuff going up on Instagram for sale just the last day or so, if I remember.
Yeah, so a couple of those are mine. I'm in the process of getting a new house and
Gotcha.
I'd rather make it happen super low interest rate while I can now, and I'll go back and buy the books again later. But yeah, Dustin, man, he's picked up some big books. I mean, Incredible Hulk 181, the first real appearance of Wolverine, isn't that right, Dustin?
Second.
You sure?
But right now, I think I'm just gonna probably go back to focusing on finishing my Mirage Studios Volume 1 Turtles run.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty close on it. The one that I'm probably not gonna get is the whatever that first appearance of Space Usagi, and now it's
47.
It's like $200 now. I'm not buying that anytime soon, but. I also have gotten into the rock and roll comics and the sports superstars. So I've got a couple of the Jordans. I found a Magic Johnson the other day. So I want to pick up all the sports superstars, basketball players that I enjoyed. And I'd love to be able to grab a Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and Michael Jordan and 9/8 condition. I'd love to have a 9/8 in each one of those. That'd be something really cool for me. So just small stuff right now.
And you got to collect your entire 9/8 Mortal Kombat run too, right? You're only a few books short of that.
Yeah, there's a couple of those that I have left to get, but again, they've just gotten so crazy that I'm just like.
I mean, what's the supply like on that? I mean, I don't feel like that's a book that people slab very often. So it's not only finding the actual book, but in grade would be.
And
really tough.
Well, he only buys raw.
Yeah, I buy raw books, and I find it more fun to try to hunt out a book that I think's a candidate. So I've got almost every issue ever printed of every Mortal Kombat run in a 9/8 candidate, if not multiples, except for a couple of really hard to find mail-off editions. And those have just gotten so crazy that I'm just probably going to hold off on those and just focus on getting the other ones submitted that I do have. So
nice. Well, I don't know. I mean, Como Comic Books is, we're a vendor, so I set up at shows and stuff. I don't want to assume everybody knows that. I'm kind of in the same boat that you are, Dustin, whereas, I've seriously been collecting comics, Silver Age back issues for 25 plus years at this point. So I remember buying single digit issues of ASM for under $100, some $50. I can't pay more for filler issues that I paid for the keys that bracket them. I physically cannot do it. So I buy some stuff for the business right now. I've picked up some nice books in the last week. I actually filled some holes yesterday. I got out to Kansas City and did some hunting out there, so that was exciting. But it's just so tough right now to really buy anything. And a buddy of mine and I were talking the other day, and the question we came up with is, I'll throw this out to you guys, see what you think of it, what your take is. What happens when the market, it doesn't have to go down. What happens when the market just stops?
Corrects. Yeah.
Well, not even corrects. It just stops. Everything doesn't appreciate 10 to 15 to 20% every week.
It kind of like
because it
evens out.
Exactly. Because just based on what we're seeing, because, we're always out there trying to buy lots, single issues, collections. You see the prices people are paying, and you have people that are paying 10 to 15 to 25% over value at the moment to get these books in hand. So it's almost like they're banking on the fact that these books are going to appreciate that much more before they actually get the chance to sell them. So that's just something that occurred to us. It's like, what if the market doesn't even go down? Just what if it stops increasing?
Yeah. Yep.
And I think for, go ahead, Nick.
You there?
Yeah, go ahead.
We got you.
Oh, okay. It just went real fuzzy on my end. I mean, for me, and that's why when all of this boom started happening, I just completely stopped in terms of searching out or hunting out these big key books for that very reason. Is you can invest in a lot of the stuff and get a great return, right? Mm-hmm. But my fear is just like you said, what happens if it does stop, right? And now all of a sudden, the $1,500 I just put in, I don't know, Avengers 4, it's just stuck there, right? Yeah. And doesn't increase. People aren't buying like they were. It just kind of stagnant. And I don't want to have that kind of money just tied up.
The greatest comic books ever written with with the greatest character ever written. First Silver Age appearance. Congratulations.
That's what happens.
World problems.
But like for me, I think of comic books in terms of, I love to collect these back issues and stuff like that, but I don't do it from a perspective of investment or hoping they increase. So that's why I find a hard time spending that kind of money on some of those books right now. Because I want to own it, but I'm not looking at it from that perspective. So I'd rather just have the $1,500, $2,000 sitting in my account for another day, I guess. But I don't know, Dustin, what's your perspective?
I mean, I just look at it as I'm so happy that last year, around the beginning of the year, for whatever reason, I dove into old Silver Age, Jack Kirby and Gil Kane, John Buscema, comic books, and I just started picking them up. I fell in love with them, and at the time I thought they were expensive, and now I'm looking at the prices I paid, last year, and I'm like, wow, there's no way I would buy these books now. But I think that there's a lot of people that are just trying to grab onto anything they can get their hands on, and I think that if you're thinking everything out there is going to continue to get these 15-20% increases week after week, month after month. Things like, Hulk 181, things like, ASM 300. I don't even know that ASM 300 is one that will continue to go up that high that quick. I mean, AS15, X-Men 1, Daredevil 1. I think Daredevil 1 and X-Men 1, those books are getting their due. I think that those books are finally being looked at as what they truly are. So
they've been the redheaded stepchild of the Silver Age mega keys for ever.
Right. So, I think that people that are putting their money in those type of books, I think that they'll be okay. But if you're putting your money into just anything, I think that, at some point that stuff's going to probably end up biting you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely. And I'll put it back on the screen right quick. Tom had a great comment. He said, don't pay what it's going to be worth in the future. Pay what it's worth now. And another thing to think about that is not just to pay what it's worth now, pay for what it is. Don't look at a book and say, yeah, this is a 7.0, but I can press it to an 8.5. You're still buying a 7.0 book. There's no guarantee it's going to be an 8.5. So don't pay that 8.5 price. What's the age-old wisdom? Don't count your chickens before they hatch.
Before they hatch. Yep.
Best advice that's a good point. Is learn how to haggle. Learn how to break someone down on those prices and get it for what you want it for. Because if you just walk in there and look at that sticker price and assume that's just what it is, then you're leaving. You're probably leaving money on the table. Then and you might could have got it cheaper. I know I'm not paying a sticker price for nothing. If you don't come off of it $1, I ain't buying it. That's just
that's what I was talking about. That video I mentioned earlier, I mean, legitimately, it was this torn up trash Ghost Rider #1 for $30. Dustin and Josh and I, we did it in the sense of the video, but it was a real haggle.
Yeah,
he had no idea.
15 minutes. 15 minutes they sat there and haggled, and Dustin got it for what? $15, 16, I think, something stupid, like just some weird, stupid number.
The Hulk 181 that I bought, I got that book for $800 less than what they had it listed for.
Nice, yeah.
It had been sitting there, and it had about 5 or 6 hours left before it was going to get relisted. And I messaged them. I was like, "Hey, look, you can either wait for the next person to come rolling around and hope that somebody picks it up, or you can take the offer I'm about to send you, and you can let me get it for this." And they ended up taking it. So I got the book for $800 less than the listing price, and now it's selling for over $1,000 more than what I paid for it originally. So, being able to haggle and try to, I'm not saying go, put your hands on their neck and, but
you want to be fair.
Right. But haggle that price down. I mean, I always look at it like this, I have a good idea of what you paid for it, and I know you need to make money on it. I'm gonna make sure you make money on it. But if I can get a few dollars off, then that makes me feel better. You make some money, and we both go away happy. So
that's when that was kind of the way the market operated. Everybody was happier. Sellers were still getting money in their pocket, collectors were getting decent deals, and everybody went home happy. Now I feel like there's such a focus on the selling side, just things I see at shows dealing with different levels of dealers. Obviously it's different between like the local or regional vendors and then the big national level guys. But the things you see and that you hear, you realize the way a lot of these higher end guys have these books is they've got to go to people like me or smaller local shops, local dealers. And that's where they're sourcing so much of this stuff now, because the original owner collections are just, they're not out there.
Quick.
Yeah. And I think I have no doubt we're going to see a resurgence of that as, baby boomers start to downsize and pass on. I think there's still a wave of that coming now, like there was in the 70s and 80s with Golden Age. As morbid or sad as that may sound, it's just the reality of the situation. But a lot of these guys, and I think that's what's led to some of this massive price increase, is that they're sourcing at such high overhead or low profit margin just to land some of these keys, that they've got to tack on that extra 10 or 15% just to cover their own end. Whereas it's not like they're paying 70 or 75% of retail, and then they get retail, they've got 25%. They've got to bump it up. So it's an interesting time. So shall we, I'm going to hop back in the chat. I see Swaggle has joined us. Welcome, Mickey. Glad to see you. I think it's still the afternoon out in the West where he resides. I tell you, that's one thing that's been kind of crazy for me, just talking with, I've chatted with Bueller a little bit, chatting with Swaggle. Dustin, I know you're East Coast, where you're at. It's just being in the middle and dealing with the time differences is crazy, because I know I was with Swaggle the other night on his channel, and it was 8:30 his time, and I looked down, I'm like, holy crap, it's 10:30 here. So
it's time to go to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. So good times. Glad to see Swaggle here in the chat. Got lots of activity. Some Sean up in here, so He says, anyone who buys it when it's high, hoping for it to go higher and stay that way, is not a very smart comic book buyer. That's generally pretty good advice. Tim is really, really interested in this Promise Pedigree. So maybe we should hop into our first topic so we can get to Promise for a little bit before we've got to wrap it up tonight.
That'll work.
Everybody good? Dustin, you good with that?
Yeah. Okay. I was just reading a comment about Tim says that he's about to buy a Cap 1 9.8. That kind of blew my mind. I couldn't imagine touching that book.
Yeah. Wow.
That is amazing.
Tim, I wish you nothing but the best. We are not operating in the same world, my friend.
Yeah.
I want to be your friend.
I would give everything I have to have a 0.5 of that book.
Yeah, I've got a buddy, and he's at the point where he's looking at just buying a certified page from Cap One, just because he thinks cool. That's as close as he's ever going to get. So yeah. I definitely feel that. So just good luck to Tim. That's big time, big time. Just do us a favor, tag us all on Instagram when you get that so we can see it.
That's outstanding. Absolutely number one grail.
Yeah, that's I can't even imagine. So
let's be realistic. If we had that kind of money, we're probably not spending it on Cap One though. I'm buying a house, something else.
Well, I'm a Spider-Man guy, so I'm gonna hunt down that 9.6 AF-15 that's out there.
And then probably still have enough left over to buy something nice.
Exactly, because if I have $3 million to spend on a comic book, there's more in the bank. Yeah. Because you've got to. I think, are we all married here?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's our money. You've got to balance it out. So
right.
we'll have some nice mutual things, and then a really nice comic collection. So let's go ahead and dive into kind of the topic that really led me to reach out to you guys, because the content you've been putting out, I think, Nick, you're mostly the one I've seen, I think, in front of the camera on this one. Dustin, let me know if I've missed some, maybe that you've put out on the subject, but CGC versus CBS. Yep. It's been a long-standing conversation for years at this point. If you go to the CGC boards, they refer to Steve Boric as Voldemort. It's crazy, which I don't know if you guys have ever met Steve before, but he's seriously like the most just nicest guy. He loves comics more than anybody I've ever met in my life. Just seriously all about it. So to go from the point where, he helps found a company, leads that company to be the dominating force in the market, and then go to being Voldemort just by, stepping out.
I love that.
It's crazy. The CGC boards, if you're not familiar, they're a special place. Some really good parts and elements of it, some really kind of just crazy stuff. But so just opening thoughts. Let's draw a baseline. Where do we all stand on CGC? Who wants to tackle that one first?
I think we should let Dustin go first.
Okay.
He's the most. So out of the two of us, Dustin what would you say, Dustin? More the emotional response to these things, and I don't mean that in a weird way. Just like shows.
I think things. I don't know. So I guess I care more.
Okay.
Like I take it to heart a little more.
Mm-hmm.
You do take things to heart.
So for me with CGC, I understand that the market dictates that they are, the cream of the crop, that, but at the same time, I think that just like you got people that are never going to stray away from New York Yankees are the best franchise in baseball. No matter how bad they are, they can be and hey, they are the best, but no matter how terrible they're doing, below 500, 3/4 of the way through the season, they're still the best baseball team in the franchise and in history. You got that same type of people with CGC who it doesn't matter, how many times they screw up or mistakes they make or the wait times, you got people out there that are never going to ever speak badly of them. And, if that's the way it is, fine. But, I definitely get aggravated that I kind of feel like sometimes they know the majority of people feel that way, and that gives them a buffer to just kind of coast. And you know, if we screw up, like, hey, like maybe we lose 5-10 people, so what? We've got a whole group of people that are going to follow us off the edge of a cliff if we go there. And you know, so I think that type of thing is definitely gotten aggravating for a lot of people. And my thoughts are, because people tell me all the time when I do my CGC videos, why do you keep sending stuff to them? If they keep like I've had one submission that hasn't had something messed up. Why do you keep sending stuff to them? Well, if I stop sending stuff to them, and and other people like me stop sending stuff to them, and stop bringing this to light, then there's no chance of them ever being forced to actually deal with the problem. Like if we just all stray away and just let it go, and it is what it is, like that's not the kind of person I am about anything. Like if I see something going on and I'm not about it, like I'm not turning the other cheek on it. I'm going head on at it. And if it works out in my favor, fine, but I'm not going to just let it go. So that's the kind of the way I look at it.
Gotcha. Nick, anything you want to throw in there?
Yeah. So for me, I'm going strictly CBCS with all of my grading now. Okay. So in my opinion, and it kind of started back with the price increase, and I understand what the price increase is, why they're doing it. It is simply a supply demand price point. They're trying to price out a certain amount so that their supply can match the demand and make the most profit, right? Yeah. So they can catch up and prove. Like I get all of those things from business perspective, but you do that. You have so many quality control issues, and I get the margin of quality control and stuff like that. They do more books, so it's going to be higher. But in my opinion, I see so much of it. If I can't trust them to put the right label, or we've seen recently the right book with the right label and send it back to the right customer, Raphael #1, Last Ronin happened last week or the week before. How can I trust them that my 9.8 is a real 9.8, or the 9.8 I'm buying from somebody is an actual 9.8? Because we've all seen really terrible 9.8s coming from CGC. Actually, there's a comic book channel, Whack Comics. Dustin, how do we always end up talking about these two? They're brilliant.
I'm telling you. So Tyler over there, he's gotten back in 2 submissions.
Dog-eared
9.8s with major flaws. Like you don't have to look for him at all. He had a book that was literally his Invincible 1. The top corner was dog-eared over, broke the color. He just flipped it up, didn't get it pressed or anything, sent it in. And I mean, it was a good, probably half-inch dog ear, and they gave it a 9.8. He had a Something's Killing Children #1 with like 4 color breaks on it, still got a 9.8.
Wow. I mean,
on a modern book.
Yeah, a modern book. That's where I was going. And I've also seen some reports that, you know, they're actually damaging books. Like there's some problems with getting books in the inner wells right. So I've seen photos of like sheared corners and stuff like that.
That's going to be the focus of the next video I do.
Because his Little America's,
My local comic shop actually sent in a copy of the Recount issue #1. I forget which exclusive it was, but it's an all black cover. And I can vouch for the guy because I saw the book before he packed it up. It was perfect, absolutely perfect. And bulletproof packing. I mean, they pack their stuff in Gemini's, and then they put it in the 25 book submission boxes. When they send you those back, they put Gemini's in there and send them back.
Oh wow.
He gets it back, and and they give him a 9.0 on it. One of the corners, I mean, it looks like they took the book and held it up over their head and dropped it with no bag and board. I mean, just destroyed the crunch. And they don't say anything about it. They don't call you. They don't mention it.
Well, and because what it was likely they probably have a team of people unboxing, setting these things up. He dropped it, goes, oh my God, I don't want to lose my job. Puts it and just has it graded.
And it goes.
Yeah. And can you blame the guy? Because he's probably not making very much money on package, you know, but those are my issues,
how many people
right?
do they have up there working in the packaging department that don't even understand what it is that they're dealing with, you know? They're just, you don't have to know how to grade a comic to unpack books and sort them. You know, you have to be able to read. So it probably isn't something that they even realize is a big deal either. So, I mean, it's just another flaw in the system at this point.
I know one thing, I'll hop in right quick. One thing I've heard starting even a couple years ago, after CGC or CBCS was on the scene, is that we're at a point where you've really got to start buying the book, not the grade. And I think as the the issues with turn times and just trying to rush through and get through as much stuff as they can increase or intensify, that's just going to be even more of a thing moving forward, especially for this generation of CBC or CGC books.
Yep.
So I think that's some of the best advice really you could give somebody right now, because I know there's just such a huge focus in the hobby right now of buying slabbed books, slabbed only collectors, 9.8 only collectors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that's why I can't tell you the last time I've really bought a graded comic book. I've just been buying raw, just like Dustin, and having it graded ourselves. One, it's cheaper, like in the long run. You can save a ton of money doing that, guys, if you're willing to just package and ship the book and wait 9 months if you send it to CGC.
Yes.
But so for me, the other thing that frustrates me with CGC to no end is they'll say their turnaround times are 180 days or whatever it is, right? Just an arbitrary number, but that's not including
business days.
Yeah, and that's also not including the time it takes for them to even mark your package as received and then to open it. Because
which is taking weeks or months now, right?
About a month and a half. Because last week I did a video and I didn't even realize this, but they updated a little thing. We put it on our Instagram. It says now unboxing comic book submitted the week of April 5th or something like that. Yeah. And it was like May 10th. And I'm like, that's a full month now.
Yeah.
So you like, and it's that I did a video kind of goofing about the loophole in it, but that to me is just crazy.
And I saw that too because one of our friends and I submitted like 12 books and we paid for fast track on every single one of those books.
Yep.
And at that time, fast track was 12 days, 12 business days. It took almost 3 months for us to get those books back.
Wow.
It cost me over $100 in fast track fees and still took almost 3 months for me to get those book backs because they didn't open them for over a month, if not longer.
You could have sent them to CBCS for 2-day turnaround at $36 a piece.
There you go. But and I've even heard stories. I've got a buddy who sent some walkthrough cheer books in, and I guess they've got instructions that say you're supposed to write WT on your book, just so that, or on your box, so they can try and grab those earlier. He sent these in weeks before Kane County Toy Show, which is a big toy show in Chicago that he sets up at, and they didn't get back until after he's already at the show, when they should have had plenty of lead time. I don't even think they were checked in before the show.
Yeah. And it's supposed to be 4 days on walkthrough now. It used to be same day because I want to send my Turtles #1 on a walkthrough for grading. But I mean, crap, if it's still going to take, weeks and months, like I'm just going to wait and hope that at some point it just, works itself out to where they're not so bad about the turnaround times.
Wait for on-site grading to hit C2E2 or Heroes or something like that. Cool. So
are you just completely not going to use CBCS ever, Dustin?
No, I will for certain things, but all my CBCS doesn't do magazine size, so I can't send a turtle book to them.
Yet.
Yeah. I watched an interview with Steve Borick. Was it Economics on Comics just a few weeks back? And he said that by the summer they should have magazine size wells, so that would be good for your TMNT.
And I'm going to do a video on this week. I can't wait for them to do that because this is the biggest hunk of garbage I've ever seen in my life. When I got so a buddy of mine and I, we sent in a ton of magazine size Turtles books and we just did the unboxing. Every one of all the pins were broken on every book almost. And these things are so flimsy and you just have a sticker on the top there. The labels in here, it's just like all crooked and wompy jawed. But I mean, I literally, these things were cracking just taking the bubble wrap off of them. These magazine size holster holders are absolutely atrocious. Horrible, horrible things. And I don't know why they haven't updated those like they have everything else, because they've never updated these from what I've been able to find from talking to people. I mean, they are horrible.
Don't twerk them.
Wow. Yeah. No kidding. Then you'll send your book back for a reholder and they'll wind up destroying it.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's anecdotal, but still. So, Dustin, do you want to run us through anything about CBCS, or I mean, do you feel like you kind of covered that in your CGC thing? you just go with CGC because you feel like that's what the market dictates, or do you have any thoughts on CBCS that you'd like to throw out?
It depends on what books it is. They are. So there are certain books that I'll send in. Like I sent in a bunch of Something Killing the Children books. I've collected that series since it came out because I enjoyed it. But obviously, at some point, those books are going to be something I'm wanting to sell. So I sent them to CGC because obviously I want to try to get the most that I can out of them. And so I sent those there. But I have no issue sending anything to CBCS, and I definitely plan to send some things to CBCS. I just don't know what yet. Like I have a Captain America 112 signed by Jack Kirby that I'd love to get the signature certified on. So I definitely want to do that. And but yeah, I mean, with their new cases, and I have no problems with the way the labels look. I'm not a stickler for that at all. So I have no problems using CBCS. I think that I think a lot of people are starting to move that way as well. I think it's enough people to really put a dent in CGC's pockets? I don't think so. I don't see that happening, just because, like I said, there's so many people that are just CGC for life. I mean, not going to stray away.
And right now they might actually welcome the reprieve in submission so they can try and get caught up.
Well, that's firmly why I believe they increased their price point. It's just like, for example,
PSA.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think they increased their price point to price out, some of these folks who are sending in 100 modern brand new books to flip for $80, the next week or whatever. Like, just like Disney World, right? Every year, every 2 years, they increase their price to drop the amount of people coming so they can, create a better product, but they're still making a similar amount of money, if not more, because they increase the price. And I think that's exactly what's happening. They're trying to find that equilibrium between price, supply, and demand. But, I know Dustin's talking about, I think CBCS will absolutely, in my mind, easily become just as equal, right? I think we're seeing so many people swapping already. I'm going there, and until I have major issues, then I'm just not going to grade comic books anymore. I'll just become a raw collector. Because at the end of the day, let's be realistic. I mean, why do we grade comic books? Is it to sell and get the most value? Probably. Like, I get Silver Age, Golden Age. That makes a lot of sense. But if you're going to do that to really preserve them, why not go to CBCS anyways? If you just want to preserve your comic books, you don't have to re-slab them every 8 to 10 years like you do a CGC. And that came straight from Steve, who knows very well about the CGC slabbing process. The cases are tougher. I showed that in several videos while
that new case is really, really nice.
Yes. I mean, seriously, guys, I was really trying to break that Star Wars 68 I had that came back in a 6.0, because I figured if I was going to break any of the slabs open, that should be it.
It's not bad.
I was trying hard to break this thing, guys, and I couldn't. I took that CGC case and just goofed around a little bit, and it cracked.
I heard that. That hurt me a little bit.
And they shake. I know, but they shake inside, the Newton rings, all of that stuff. Like, if you're looking for truly preserving your comic books from a personal standpoint to keep them, why not go with CBCS? If you're looking to flip and stuff like that, I get why you want to, or resell, not flip. I guess I shouldn't use that word. I understand CGC, but I sold a lot of comic books this week that were CBCS. Got the same exact dollar amount as every CGC for sale of the last week. I've had no issues with it. I've had people who bought them told me, I'm not buying CGC. I'm looking for CBCS.
Really?
And they're in the chat right now, right? So I'm sure they'll drop a comment. But I've had no issues.
And I can add one more thing to that.
No, don't.
Because we are YouTube content creators. And there are 2 of us, so that gives us the advantage of being able to Nick to do CBCS content, and I continue to do the CGC content, and we're able to produce both without having to do twice the work. Like if you wanted to do that, you would have to spend money. It would cost you twice as much money, but with it being 2 of us, I can do one, Nick can do the other. We can get the content out there for both. And
you can do it with integrity, because, if one likes one likes the other, you're both coming from an honest or a genuine position where it's believable. And that's obviously what we want to bring to the community.
And Dustin, not to put words in your mouth, but I do believe like you've said it before, and you said it, CGC in your mind commands the higher price at this point, right? Like, is that still your thought process?
I mean, up to this point, it has, but
in my experience,
I'm not saying, but I definitely don't believe that's going to stay that way.
Yeah,
I think there are certain books that still right now. Yeah, I think it just depends on the book too.
Yeah, and that's a lot of it, right? Like if I'm buying,
I don't think you're going to get. I don't like when you get up into like a Hulk 181 or an AF-15. You know, I think that CGC, if you're spending, if you're spending that kind of money, I think people have it ingrained in their brains that, you know, CGC is the way to go because that's the higher value, you know, grade. So on something like that, yeah. But, you know, I definitely see the lower tier books definitely evening out and getting closer, closing that gap for sure. And I think it can go across the board eventually. I don't see why it wouldn't. I mean, I really don't, especially with the mistakes and stuff CGC is making. But, you know, like I said, my big thing is, you know, somebody's got to cover it. So, you know, I'd like to definitely be able to put out the content for that as well, as long as we can.
Yeah. My thing as a seller, I mean, you know, of course, I'm like a regional guy, you know, me and a lot of my buddies that do the same thing. We're maybe a couple states, either directions, really all will travel, but we've never had problems getting the same amount out of CBCS as we did CGC because it's, you know, we put the price on the book and that's what the market says the price of the book should be. And we're not going to sell it to somebody. You know, if you don't feel the values in that book, you obviously don't have to buy it. So I've seen some people that have passed on the book because it wasn't a CGC, and that's fine.
I had that same thing happen to me this week. A guy offered me $200 less for the book. He said, and I don't want to go into it and stuff like that, but basically $200 less for that exact reason. Minutes later, the book sold for market value as it should have. I said in one of my videos, I get what you guys are saying, that CGC dictates price and it's going to be more expensive. If you're the seller of the book, don't accept the price.
Exactly.
Right?
And I think in an auction setting, which is probably, I think, what Dustin's really alluding to for elite tier books and stuff. Yeah. If you're in an auction setting and you've got, you know, a CGC 9.6, white pages, 181, CBCS, and a CGC, it's going to be a coin toss. You know, I mean, either one of them could go higher. It all depends on who's chasing what book at any given point. But I think up to this point, we've generally seen that more people would lean a little heavier on the CGC version. But I think, I want to say I was watching Reggie a week or two ago, and he had someone on his channel. He said, you know, we've been crunching the numbers and the gap is closing. Like they're within 5%. Yeah. Like, and at that point, I mean, I don't know what their margin of error is, but I bet you it's somewhere between 3 to 5%.
Easily.
Yeah. So, I mean, just quick math, you would think that basically where we're at now, we're at a point of equilibrium where we've balanced out.
And I don't even, and it's frustrating for me, right? Because I've been putting up all these videos this week and last few weeks, and the only thing I hear are people saying, I'm only staying with CGC because of the label. That's it, right? That's the only reason people are telling me. And then you do have the one or two that, you know, have maybe had a bad experience with CBCS, and that's fair, right? That's absolutely fair. If I have a terrible experience and they destroy my whole, you know, somebody said they had an issue, their whole 181 came back damaged. If that happens to me, I'm probably not going to use CBCS again, and I get that if it's a bad experience. But the label aspect of it, like, I think it's more of, I'm trying to think the best way to say it without sounding terrible, almost like our thought processes are trained that CGC has to be the best. Right. And maybe it has been, right. But there's no reason whatsoever why CBCS is not considered the equal by everybody outside of maybe the label if you absolutely hate it that much.
Well, and another thing, I was going to just real quick. I mean, and if you look too, I mean, obviously as YouTube content creators, a lot of people, there are a lot of people that say that we don't have any influence on the market. But I think absolutely we do, especially when you're a channel, you know, with the channels that report sales, and you never hear these channels ever talking about CBCS 9.8s. It's always reporting the CGC 9.8 sales or the CGC 9.6 sales, and I think that has a lot to do with it too, because especially with a lot of the new buyers coming in, they're going to YouTube to track what's going on, and all they're hearing is the CGC, so they kind of that's what they look for. They don't even given any attention to anything else outside of that. I think that definitely, I'm not saying it has everything to do with it, but I think that does have something to do with it as well.
Yeah, I think that's just part of the way the tools exist right now, because I know I rely on GPA analysis for a lot of my graded comic book pricing. And, I know a buddy of mine's recently signed up for the subscription level or the paid level of Go Collect, and he's just kind of filling me in. And he said, it's amazing to look at Go Collect and then look at GPA and see where GPA is capturing things that Go Collect isn't, but Go Collect is capturing things, including CBCS sales, that GPA is not capturing. So that really to get a fuller, and I'm not even going to go down and say that this is the fullest record, because there's still private sales that we get word about, or sales that happen on some strange website, somebody that nobody's legitimately going to track. That you've got to bring in more data to really get the truest picture of where the market's at any given point.
Absolutely.
So now I'm debating on spending the I think it's $90 for the year on Go Collect, just to have more numbers to crunch to price books, because it doesn't take long enough right now.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, though, like even with Go Collect in this market, the way things are changing so quickly, some of those FMVs, it's hard to keep up. I mean, because that Go Collect is by far my favorite price guide, without a doubt. I think it's just the easiest, the simplest. It is, and I'm a huge fan of it. But there have been books where I go, okay, this is a good FMV, but then I go back and look at the last 2 weeks sold listings. We're talking 30-40% increase. And it's no fault of Go Collect. It's honestly just this market is freaking nuts.
I think the thing I would like to see the most with, you were talking Go Collect. I'm going to shift to like Key Collector. I would love to see, give me a price history. Even if you just track the last 2 or 3 sales, give me a date and a previous price, just so you can get some sort of trajectory. That's the thing.
That would be huge.
Yeah, that would be game changing, right? That's what I really like about GPAs. You get you get 2 years back, 1 year back, 12 months back, 90-day average plus last sale. That is just a huge amount of data that would be amazing. So, but to your point earlier, Nick, this is my buddy Bob, who sets up or helps me set up at shows and stuff.
Yeah.
He had a negative CBCS experience right out of the gate. And he's gone scorched earth with CBCS ever since. Yep. Now he's bought some slab CBCS books, and he usually gripes about it, but he'll still buy them. But he's I don't think he's going to be submitting anything anytime soon.
And I can't blame. I mean, Dustin had a bad CGC experience, but he's and I can't believe he's still using them after his experience. But I can't blame people for that, right? At all. And if I have a bad experience and some of my stuff's ruined or lost or something like that, I might go scorched earth too.
At this point, I look at it like this: I'm spending money, but it makes great content.
Oh yeah,
that's the way I'm looking at it at this point. I mean, when I get 2 books back and they both say foil covers and they're in no shape or form, no way it could ever be mistaken as a full cover. It's just like, okay, at this point, it's comical. Like, how did this even happen?
Yeah,
Tom, I agree with you.
What do we got here? Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. The thing is, I feel like as soon as they highlight something, the information's immediately out of date, because everybody runs to those books, and those prices are immediately dated. I mean, it's still better than Overstreet, right?
I wish everybody would go back to Overstreet.
Me too, man. My comic shop had somebody come in with some Golden Age Batman, and the only way he wanted to sell them was based on the exact value of the Overstreet price guide. My guy said, "Sure,
yeah,
absolutely.
Let's do it.
I will pay you exactly what Overstreet says."
That's one of those times where you just have to accept the price, and I mean, you can try and do your best to explain it, but if that's the price they're setting and the way they intend to do it, then okay.
In this market right now, sure, I will take Overstreet prices all day long. And he tried, but the guy was, nope. He's an old school collector. He had a comic book shop back in the day, so Overstreet's the Bible. And some really, I mean, we're talking sub 50 Batman, just gorgeous 7.0, 7.5s. I mean, just beautiful stuff.
The stuff that doesn't walk in the door.
I got a shop out here in Noonan, Georgia, and the guy still uses Overstreet. I mean,
Well, that's great for you.
I pulled Marvel Spotlight #6. I mean, it's a 9.8 candidate for $5 last year. Wow. I got just Friday. I got the Captain America 34. The first Bucky is Captain America. CGC 9.8, $50.
Wow.
I mean,
that's awesome.
I'll pay you overstreet prices all day.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the way my local comic shop used to run, and I think it's a really fair and honest way to do it. It's not. It kind of goes back to what we were saying before, where the seller gets what they feel is a good price, the buyer gets a good price. You know, obviously, since the market moves so quickly.
Yeah.
And if you're buying and selling, so you know everything's equitable at that. It should, in theory, work out as long as you're able to sustain yourself with those values. Everybody should be happy, but of course, we all know how the market is right now. So,
and then you've got Comics and Death Metal. He's got a shop that sells everything for cover price, and if there's no cover price, they just let him take it out of the shop for free.
Oh, wow!
Yeah,
and he's just an hour north of me, and I cannot figure out what shop it is, or else. I'd be in there bumping elbows with Ryan.
I've been sworn to secrecy, but he has pulled 2 9. One of them he got great. It came back a 9.8, and he got another one that's probably going to hit a 9.8. Clone Wars #1's cover price in the last couple months.
Good,
and he's told them, but they just are like whatever.
Yeah, here you go.
He's been honest about it, but
that's awesome. Well, guys, I know. We can
talk for a few more minutes if you want to hit on the last few things. I'm fine with that.
Sure. And I don't think we need to take very long in it, but I know Tim has been chomping at the bit. So I think we covered the CGC CBS thing pretty thoroughly, got our views out there. So now I'm going to bring up, get everything switched over here. The Promise Collection. So this is the announcement that came out of CGC back on the 21st, as you can see, unveiled its 61st recognized pedigree. They've called the Promise Collection, and basically what the story is that there was a young man who signed up to go fight in the Korean War, following his older brother. Yeah, these books are insane. I'll talk about some of the books here in a minute. So here's the deal. In the early 1950s, a young man by the name of Robert was drafted into the U.S. Army to fight in Korea. His younger brother, Junie, enlisted in hopes of keeping watch over him. Junie made his brother promise him that if something should happen to him in battle, Robert should take care of his beloved collection of comic books. So, sadly, something did happen. He wound up dying just after turning 21, and then his brother made good on the promise he made to him before they shipped out. And he came home, he packed up his brother's comics very neatly, very tidily, and put them in the attic where they stayed for, decades. And as you can see, as I scroll through some of these, the books are just insane. And the thing is, this Detective 140 is probably my favorite book that I've seen so far. Single highest graded. I mean, that book is going to go bonkers when they sell them. Same thing with this Captain America 74.
I'm dying over that 9.8.
Oh yeah, there's just so many great books. So many great books. So right now, if you go over to Heritage Auctions and you pull up there, I'll zoom in a little bit. That's not gonna work.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, you pull up there. What auction is this? It is the I can't remember. It's their featured auction that's coming up later this summer. I want to say it's next month. And just search Promise inside of the auction. It'll bring up all of these books, and it's just nuts. Actually, I have a small list here that I'll drag over so it's not blocking the screen. But you're looking at Adventures into the Unknown. This guy right here, that is the first ongoing horror title ever. Just a classic haunted house cover. There's 4 in grade and there's only 4 higher on the census.
Wow.
Crazy stuff. The All-American 61 that was in
Select.
Yeah, there's just all sorts of stuff. The All-American, I don't know where I missed
all
it. But
winners.
Yeah, the All-American 61 is a 9.6. It's the only one in grade. There's one that's graded higher. The Cap 70, there it is. All-American 61. It's first Solomon Grundy.
That's awesome.
Just insane stuff.
And I love all the tech comics, man. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even early Archies, 9.6, 9.8, just insane stuff. Black Hoods. I never see Black Hood. Never mind in these conditions. It's just you don't see this old MLJ stuff very often. And then you get into the Schaumburg caps. That are just insane as well. I feel like I keep using that
coming
word.
Across this?
No, I mean that's what I told my buddy. It's like
that is.
What do you do? What do you do when you find this? This book is going to just. I don't even know what's going to happen. It's the single highest graded copy of arguably one of the biggest horror timely covers. I mean, it's the
that is
biggest.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
It's so good.
Golly.
Of course, we talked.
So is it his brother who sent these in, or somebody found them?
I don't remember exactly what it says. They want to remain anonymous. So, which I can't blame them. They're going to be sitting on some fat cash after this sale.
Yeah.
So, all it says is the consigners of the collection wish to remain anonymous. So, I don't know if it's still the family or if it's somebody who's bought them.
I hope it's the family.
Is this how Tim is going to pay for that Captain America #1?
I don't know. That could be.
Oh, man. No, I really hope it's the family.
That Captain Americas are blowing my mind.
Oh, it's... I mean, even this Contact is just a book you never see. I mean, never mind the grade. Some great detectives in here. There's your first Catwoman cover with 122. Some great.
My LCS, they just got they just got a bunch of Golden Age. They got the Joker cover where he's coming out of the genie lamp it came back a 0.5.
Oh yeah, it says 69, I think.
Yeah, they got that back in a 0.5. They got the first Batmobile, Batman 10 or Tech, the first Batmobile. They got that back in a 4.5, and we were going nuts over that. And then you see something like this, and it's just incredible.
And that Joker book is probably still a $3,000 to $5,000 book.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's nuts.
Absolutely.
So you got first and second Riddler. I mean, we're kind of slumming it on the Detective 142. It's only an 8.0. So just crazy stuff. Some other things. The Eerie 9.2.
Oh. There's that 69 right there.
Yeah, here you go. Classic Joker cover. That's the only Joker cover around there that I don't have. I've got 62. I've got 72, I think it is. I just need that one. But this Eerie's the first ever horror comic, which I don't know about you guys. I'm a huge pre-code horror fan, so I always gravitate towards books like this. This is the highest graded copy of that book, which is really hard to find. Flash comics, all in just stupid high grades.
See, I would love to get a hold of some of those Flash comics. Absolutely would love them.
The thing with this collection is that, there's some keys. I mean, check this guy out.
That's great. Dinosaur cover is awesome.
It's first Black Canary.
There's just nothing better than covers back then.
No, they're so simplistic, but still so great. They just had the old 4-color printing colors are just fantastic.
Yes.
There's so much that went into it.
And they look so good. I love to see them just like this, but it's that's when awesome. I was getting hold them in your hands, I mean, just blows away stuff we get now. And I get it's a totally different art, but maybe it's just nostalgia, and you're just like, man, this is history, and it means more. Definitely. But I love the covers.
This is Marvel Tales 93. It's the first. It's what becomes of Marvel Mystery Comics. So it's when Marvel transitioned away from superheroes and started getting into the horror stuff. This is a book that's been going up a lot lately. This right here is the single highest graded copy, and it's the only one that's on the census above 8.5. So you leapfrog 2 whole grades from what was previously known to get to this book. So just the things like that are in this collection.
That mask number 1. Yes. Wow.
Well, and even you've got the 2 that's this classic devil cover. That's going to be a huge book. As pre-code horror books go, it's a really sought after cover.
Yeah, this is incredible.
Even things like this, Miss America. That's your first Patsy Walker right there. That's a magazine you don't see very often. The last one I think I really had picked out to look at is this guy right here. It's tied for the highest graded copy of Moon Girl 5. It's the first ever EC horror story in a book. So as EC collectors go, this is, it's a pretty tough book to find and a very highly desired book. So
it's incredible to think that stuff like this is still out there undiscovered. I mean, with the times we live in and the abilities that we have with the internet and everything, I've talked about it before, like the stories of, grandma finding a box of books in the attic and, not knowing how much they're worth anymore. Like those are getting really, really scarce, those kind of stories. But then you see something like this pop up and it's like, how in the world has this just been hid from the world for so long? And it's just awesome to see, though.
Definitely. And here's the beautiful part. I skipped over this as I was reading the story. I'm going to pull up one of these.
Here you go. Here's a question.
Yeah.
So great. You find a collection like this. We know CBCS does not do Pedigree, I don't believe, right?
I think they do, don't they?
Do they now do Pedigree?
I want to say I've seen pedigreed books. I could be wrong.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong then.
Nah, let's just assume I'm wrong.
So say they don't. Do you still take? Do you take them to CBCS or do you take them to CGC to create a pedigree? Because these are going to get a premium because they are part of a pedigree.
Definitely. I think if that is your determining point between the two, you've got, and CGC would give you the status of a pedigree, I think you've got to go that, because like you said, I know when I'm buying or looking at books, I usually expect about a 20% premium for a pedigree copy.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, the book's great. The story is, to me, the selling point on these. So, this is a classic Schomburg cover. I think it's either highest graded or second highest graded, just insane stuff. But what I skipped about, and we're getting into some Submariners.
Wow, look at that Gator cover down there.
Which one?
The 8.0 on the right. That number 11, or is that a dragon?
Dragon.
That is outstanding.
Yeah, it was different time back then, man. Such good stuff. But here's the punchline: this collection was 5,000 books, and this is all we've seen right now.
5,000.
So this is presumably the cream of the crop. You're gonna lead off with your best stuff.
Wow!
But that, to me, that gives me hope, because that means there may be, like, give me the one that was at the bottom of the box that all the mice chewed on. That's just dog meat. I just want a book from this collection because like I said, the story is fantastic. And it's just impressive. And whereas the time we're talking, 1950, 1951, everything's going to be an old, solid, golden age title. There's just not a lot of room for fluff at that point. So you get in some of the later Submariners. I've never seen that cover before. I mean, there's just really, really impressive stuff. A few Supermans, nothing too crazy. I mean, That's a pretty well-known issue.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm going to be keeping an eye out. I know Heritage is slowly dripping covers and adding listings to this auction. So, who knows what else will come out.
I wonder if CGC charges up front to have these graded, or they just take their FMV percentage on the back end after sales.
That is a great question. I would think with something like this, one, they want to be involved in this just because of, the notoriety. You want to be part of this
free
story,
marketing.
right? Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if it would maybe be an arrangement between Heritage and CGC. Like Heritage says, hey, we've got this huge thing.
Yeah.
Obviously Heritage is good for it, right? They can cut the check. So I don't know.
How long you sat there at CGC?
What's that?
A day?
So I wonder how long those books sat at CGC. I bet they didn't sit long.
That's why books are sitting in receiving for 6 weeks, because they had these in there and they're like, we want this crap out of our building as fast as possible.
Yeah. That and all these in-house signings.
They probably called Steve Baroque back from CBCS for a day. Hey, can you come back and grade these for us?
Freelance grading. So
just don't tell nobody.
Brought him in sunglasses and a hat.
Yeah.
So that's the Promise collection. Had this hit your guys' radar already?
No, I've not seen anything about that. Whenever I looked it up after you sent it to me earlier, I saw, I know not the greatest news source, but Bleeding Cold posted something about it, and I had read through there. But that was the first time I had seen anything about this come out.
Yeah. What I made it through their article, which I love Bleeding Cool, or I used to, it's so full of ads anymore, I can hardly use it anymore on desktop anyway. But it looked like it parroted the press release pretty well.
And that's what you were showing looked a lot like what I was reading through. So it just happened to be the first one. So that's when I clicked on.
I think it's about the only one, because I was doing some digging for some extra context and stuff last night. So.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. Was it worth the extra couple minutes?
For sure.
Yeah.
Comic books like that. It makes me want to go to Antique Store right now.
Those were beautiful.
I just want to drive to an old neighborhood and start knocking on doors, being like, can I look in your attic?
Seriously, like, it's a crazy idea, I know, but we always see these we'll pay cash for houses sign. Like, you see them everywhere. I'm this close to getting some printed up and just dropping them as I drive from where I'm at to Atlanta in these really small towns. We're like right outside of retirement homes.
That's what I was going to say. I want to put up flyers inside of retirement homes. I've thought about that, and just putting ads in like the Dallas New Era here. I mean,
like find the oldest newspaper that people still read and drop some ads, because 80, 90, 50, 95-year-olds, they're not sitting on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist.
Nope.
And you look on there anymore, and it's just people posting, I will buy your collections. There's not actual collections being listed right now. So
correct. Yeah. And I do some advertising in those same places. I mean, it's what you got to do, but you also realize that
I'm sure you get it.
It's feast or famine, either the phone doesn't ring or it won't stop ringing. But what I've seen a lot lately is you're not necessarily dealing so much with the original collector, but the beneficiaries as the collections pass down. So,
we did it for about 6 months and ended up with a bunch of nieces and nephews trying to drop off their uncle's really old comic book collections. And then it was
in the original plastic.
Yeah. Never been opened, right?
Yep.
And, silly. The coolest thing we ever found in one was Hong Kong Phooey
number one.
Nice.
Yeah. That was the coolest thing we ever found, but we kind of stopped doing all that.
It
takes a lot of effort to do what you guys do, man.
It is a lot of work. And honestly, once you land the collection, that's really when the work begins. I mean, it's a lot of work to get the lead, to close the deal, and then the real work starts. But it's a good time. But guys, I think we should probably go ahead and wrap it up, just out of respect for your time. I know we've got real life things to get to on a Sunday evening, which we're all looking forward to. So I'm going to go ahead and give you gentlemen the floor. Let the viewers know. And I want to apologize to the chat. I haven't really been very engaged. as we've had this great conversation today. So thank you everybody for hanging out. I have tried to read some, so thank you again. But I want to go ahead and give you guys the floor. Let the viewers know where they can find you, and just it's your time now.
Dustin, since I did the intro, you want to do the outro?
Yeah, sure. So
but you got to hit the finger guns on them.
You guys can find us on Instagram at #2 Brothers Comics. That's us on Instagram, so you can follow us on there. We always drop when we got new content out on there. We'll drop in the feed. We'll drop in the stories. You can find us on YouTube, Two Brothers Comics. Daily content. We do new comic book day, top picks, books that we're looking forward to reading. It's not really revolved around as much spec. It's just books and series that we enjoy reading. So we put that out every Monday. Like I said, daily content. Our Saturday night show, Saturday Night Comic Book Babylon. It's a live show we do every week. We talk news, hauls. We do top 10s. We've got Justin Birch, who is a world-renowned letterer for comic books all over, and he joins us every week. And if you enjoy toys, hot toys, stuff like that, he shows a lot of that off on there as well. So we basically just kind of hang out for a few hours on Saturday nights and have a good time. So check us out.
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah, I hopped in there last night. I was not aware that you guys did a live stream, so it was kind of nice to be able to hop in there and follow along and see what was
you get a different side than what you get. Yeah.
Yeah, it's completely different when you sit down and press record and, just, word vomit at the camera as opposed to holding the conversation and just kind of running with it and seeing where it goes. Yep. So it's, if you're in the community and you're not currently spending time, which if you're here right now, that would suggest that you are spending time watching live streams for different creators, then anyway, I would encourage you to start hanging out with some of just the creators in the community. Check out their live streams, support them any way you can, whether that's hitting the like button, sharing out their content. I do have a link to Two Brothers Comics down in the description below. So if you're not already subscribed to these guys, I promise I do know what I'm talking about. Then go ahead, hop over to their channel and hit the subscribe button. Like I said earlier, they put out a ton of really great content. And while you're waiting for me to put out a new video, these guys will probably put out another 10 to 15 and make me look like a slouch. So, last word, guys. How would you like to close?
We're getting ready also to do our 10,000 subscriber giveaway. That is underway right now as well. So make sure you guys are paying attention in the videos for the information on that for the 10K giveaway. So
definitely, I'm starting to plan my own as well. So best wishes as you guys climb towards that mark. I know I've still got a bit of a grind to go to get there as well. So once I figure out how to run a giveaway, I'll give some stuff away. That'll be great. Nick, last word?
Dustin covered it all.
All right.
As we always say on our channel, you guys are the best part. Well, I guess here, right, it would be you guys are the best part of Como Comics. And as always, collect your way. So that's how we ended over there at Two Brothers.
Nice. And how I end it is collect responsibly. We'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.